Hey y'all. I know I'm late and I'm on my phone today because it's this way or no way at all. I just got home, y'all. So to do all the setup, we are not on MX Network tonight. I apologize because I know y'all don't be wanting to watch these commercials. But I just got home. I'm late. It's already late as it is. It's 10:13. I was supposed to be live 13 minutes ago. But if I had to take the time to set all of that up and the lights and both things on the network, it wasn't going to happen. It'd be 11 o'clock. I'm going to bed, y'all. So here we are. Y'all do me a favor, like this video, share this video, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And in the description of this video is the links to MX Network. So you can watch these lives while they're live, and you don't have to watch the commercial. You can go over there and get your free subscription. You do not have to watch the commercials, but that does not apply to tonight. I did say that I was coming in here. I didn't come yesterday because I was busy. So I just wanted to keep my word and get in here and have this conversation with y'all because I've been saying this for like 2 weeks, okay? And shout out to you. Thank you, everybody, for the congratulations. Thank y'all for the 100,000 subscribers. We are over 100K. It has taken me long as hell to get here, but I want to be honest, is because my ass don't be doing what I'm supposed to do. That's my problem. And so let me see. Let me go over here real quick because I'm going to change this from subscribers. I think this is how I can do it over here. I don't want just anybody in here. Now, you got to subscribe to run your mouth because when I go live like this, it be some weirdos in here. And I don't have time for y'all bullshit. I really don't. So we're going to change that up. There we go. Boom. It did work. Okay. So you have to subscribe to say something in here tonight. And that, if you want to talk shit, you got to subscribe to talk shit because I don't need crazy people around here. Okay. Shout out to Chicago in the house, y'all. But again, I just wanted to come in and have this conversation. Y'all know I could be here like 2 hours talking. So for me, this will be quick, in and out like a robbery. 45 minutes an hour, we out of here, okay? That way I can get back tomorrow and we can talk about some more stuff. So I hear Trump is he's talking about the homeless situation, right? Not just homeless people, but people who don't got nowhere to live. He's supposed to be doing some shit, I guess, to help folks out. So let's see. It's crazy to me because everybody that lost their job, now he trying to help the homeless people. Sir, you do know that's why a lot of people are homeless because you fucking took their job. So, like, I don't know, make it make sense. But anyway, we gonna talk about that too. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But we're gonna talk about Katrina tonight, you guys. I think this is an important conversation. Y'all share this video and like this video so that people can hear this, right? And this is really not about Katrina. It is about Katrina. We're gonna use that as an example, okay? Because y'all gonna find yourselves in situations, right? And I talk about survival all of the time. And I think sometimes people have a hard time wrapping their head around exactly when I talk about survival, like, what does this apply to, right? How will this ever affect me in my life? And I promise you that there will come a time, and you don't have to be in a hurricane, okay? But I just want to talk about a real life experience, something that I think a lot of us know about. Some of y'all in the chat may have even lived through it. I know people that are from Katrina, right? You may have met people that have relocated. Some of y'all might even be in the chat. No, you ain't missing faith. So, that have been in Katrina. So I think that is one that we can talk about because it's not only about survival that I can use that situation, but it's also another time that we can stop and take a look at our government, right? We know our government is full of shit, right? And we understand all of the stuff that they did to us in Katrina. And I'm going to continue to reiterate every time I have conversations that if they have done it to you once, they will do it to you again. It's like a bad relationship. If he cheated on you once, girl, he gonna cheat on you again. I don't know why you told yourself he wasn't, right? If he slapped you once, he gonna slap you again. I'm gonna be fair with the brothers. I don't want to just get on y'all. So like, yo, bro, if she cheated on you once, that heifer gonna cheat on your ass again. She not really sorry. She just sorry she got caught, okay? The government is never sorry about anything that they do to us. They're citizens in this country. They just, act like, oh, well, we ain't mean to her. Wasn't that bad when they get caught. Okay, so let's understand that. I want you to first and foremost know, once again, what did Kanye say? The president does not care about black people, right? At that time, and they was looking at him crazy as hell on the live when he said that. But let's go back to Katrina and just let's talk about an overview of what actually happened. You guys know that they had the anniversary of it after 20 years, I think it was. And they talked about the documentary. If you guys watched it, it's on Hulu. If you didn't, let me say to you, there was nothing on there, I believe, that we didn't already know. I will honestly tell you that there were things on that documentary that they actually did not state that they should have, okay? Like they did not talk about the fact that when people got picked up on the buses, okay, there was a time when after everybody had been there for all of those days, and the buses came, that the crowds were pressing so bad to get on buses that people were actually separated from the thickness of their crowd from their children, their family members. They got put on different buses, and when they got put to different places and shelters, like they were shipping people all over the place. When they took them on a bus, they weren't taking them up the road to facilities. They were taking these people to airports and putting them on planes and not giving them any choice in the matter. If you watched the documentary, you seen that there was a couple there that actually had family in another part of in Louisiana. They just wanted to go to their family member's house, but they couldn't get out of New Orleans, right? And they wouldn't let them go. They was like, no, you get your ass on this plane. And I think they flew them to Houston, right? So I want you to understand, they did not talk about all of the missing children, all of the family members and people that were separated. Like imagine if you went through all of that and you got your 12-year-old and you're holding their hand, you're trying to get on this bus, the crowd is pressing against y'all, your child gets pulled away from you in the crowd, and then you don't know where your child is and you're at a shelter and they're telling you to calm the fuck down and you want to know where your kid went. Nobody talked about those things, right? But they were brutally honest about a lot of stuff that I feel I already knew this. So I don't know if all of you knew this. So let's just go over first and foremost what happened in Katrina, just from what everybody knows, right? We know that the hurricane came. We know that Katrina did not destroy New Orleans, okay? The levees broke, they said. And if you don't know what levees are, like New Orleans is underwater. And what that means is that they're lower in the sea level, so it's water around them, and it's these levees to help keep the water out, if that helps make sense, right? So these levees supposedly broke after the hurricane and all of the flood waters came in. Well, we know, just like in 9/11 and a lot of other things, that the government blew those levees, okay? They blew them up so that they could gentrify. So there's several layers to Katrina, okay? They wanted to gentrify the community. And if you go to New Orleans, shout out to the people in New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I love the culture. I love the houses and the way things look. I think one of my favorite things about the houses is that you go down neighborhoods and they're all a different color, but on their front porches, they still have like gaslight lanterns that come on, not a light bulb. And it's just little shit like that. Like, I love New Orleans. I love the people of New Orleans. But I will tell you that when I go to New Orleans, it saddens me because the culture that used to be there is no longer there, right? You go to Mardi Gras, you go to all of these places, and it's white people everywhere, 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 okay? Where Black people used to be, they are no longer there. Where that culture was prevalent in New Orleans, that said, this is our place, this is our space, this is our culture, it's all gone, y'all. Now, don't get me wrong. There are places in New Orleans, if you know the people of New Orleans, when, the Mardi Gras happens, the Black folks don't hang out there. They got their own party right on another side of town. And if you know the folks, then you know that about, New Orleans. So they still be out there doing their thing, right? But they do not mix and mingle and intertwine themselves into, the way you would have seen them before. And so New Orleans is very gentrified. And they did that to take the land. They did that for a lot of reasons, to take the land. I want you to understand, I've said this before, that the government, we talk about how the white man came in and stole America, right? By killing people to take their land. I do want you to know that your government still kills you to take your land, okay? New Orleans is an example of that. Flint is an example of that. Okay, all of the people out there that is sick from the water. I mean, here we are many years later. Can anybody tell me, does Flint have clean water now? And if they don't, I promise you that the communities, the property, none of it is worth anything because of the poisonous water. Now, I promise you that it's all dirt cheap. Now, when people decide to come in, not Black people, and buy up Flint, that is when the water will be fixed. Okay, I promise you it will. But do you know how many people, because of that water in Flint, they have die. They have ailments and things they will live with for the rest of their lives. And then on another level of how they will kill you to gentrify and take your community, you must be careful. Protests and marches are just orchestrated chaos, right? They send in, and I've been in the streets plenty. So for anybody that's new here and you're like, well, how would you know this? I've been in the streets plenty. And when people are just out there protesting, they will send in other undercover police and people that will come in and start the looting and start the fires, because it's psychologically this crowd effect, right? And then you start destroying your communities, and people from your communities come in and destroy your communities in the name of protesting, racism, whatever the fuck y'all want to say. And then you notice they never rebuild those places that get tore up in the middle of protests and riots. Like, how many cities are fucked up over Black Lives Matter? Have they rebuilt any of y'all shit in y'all communities that they've tore up? No. You be helping them gentrify your community. Now, they may not come in and take your shit until 10 years from now, right? But you're helping to pre-gentrify it, right? And so in that, there are plenty of ways that they will still come and take your land. Katrina was a land grab. It absolutely was. They will tell you, all of those people that left Katrina, a lot of them never came back. So you're talking about 20, 30,000 Black people that were in the city of in New Orleans. They lived there. And when Katrina happened and they were all up and relocated, they've never come back. Never come back. Okay? And so you go down there and you see nothing but white people. They own everything. Right? And so this is what I mean by the gentrification. So first I need you to understand that the government did do this. The next thing is, once the levees broke, okay, people woke up to floods in their house. They were trapped in their attics. They were trapped in their houses. People were calling 911 like crazy, and they were on the phone giving their last words and dying on the phone with operators, right? And so that was very devastating. People did make it to the convention center, and then they had the dome. But even when that happened, right, there was a time where I thought it was crazy as fuck. I want you to remember that your government never just simply flew planes and dropped water and food to people. They waited days to do that. How many of you remember the coverage on the news of Katrina, you guys? And I'll never forget some of the clips where, and if I had been on my laptop, y'all gotta forgive me. If I had everything set up, I was gonna show y'all some of them clips, but y'all can go find them, and I'm sure that you knew, right? But you talk about people who are like, the first day, the news is like, how's everybody doing? And they're like, oh, we're just waiting for help. I think we'll be fine. And they got babies in their arms and shit. And then you see the news talking to them 3 days later. And that same person is like devastated, and they're crying, and they're like, my baby won't wake up, and he's so hot, and I'm so worried. And a couple days ago, they thought they was fine. Like, all the fuck they had to do was, if they weren't gonna let the people out, and I want you to know they stopped them from leaving. So we need to keep that in mind too, right? Like, there were places where people could have walked straight over the bridge into a whole nother city with power and everything else. There were police there, not to help them, but to stop them and say, you can't bring your ass over here. Stay where you are. Okay, this is what they did to them. So they didn't drop no food, they didn't drop no water, they didn't do any of that, and they let these people sit there and starve to death. And there were elderly people and folks from the hospitals. One thing they did not talk about in that documentary, that if you know people from New Orleans and you have talked to them, and there are documentaries about it on YouTube that may not have drawn as much attention, but I talked to the people in New Orleans. I know quite a few people down there. And one thing they don't talk about either is like the prisons and the jails, okay? They didn't let those people out the jails. A lot of them broke out and that were fortunate, that weren't on the lower levels. So they don't talk about all of the inmates that they left in those cells. Imagine being locked up in jail for some shit that wasn't murder, for some shit that didn't cause for your life to be gone, but because they didn't value those people's lives, they just allowed them floodwaters. Imagine being in a cell and you just wake up to water rising. There ain't no way out because the guards done left your ass. You in there fending for yourself. Nobody talks about that type of shit, right? Nobody is talking about any of that. There were elderly out there with no medication, the help that they needed, the stuff that they needed. They could have flown in and helped those people. They could have dropped those damn supplies, but they did not, because they were waiting for people to die. Let me tell you a story about some people that I know, right? They actually went out and helped to do rescues during Katrina, and they were helping to get people off rooftops, because one more thing that they showed in the documentary was that planes were flying to rescue people off of their roofs. But when they saw that you were Black, they would pass you up. Now, this is not hearsay. This is fact. There were black people on roofs that had been sitting for days, and here come the helicopters, and they would see it's black people over here. They were going the other fucking direction. Okay? So they were leaving them there. They wanted black folks to die. That's what this was all about. And the fact that y'all still on roofs and 20,000 of y'all, too many of y'all have lived. So we need to make sure we cut this number down even more. Okay? So they were passing them up. Well, there were people who had their private boats and folks went out there to go and help. And I know some men that went out there to go help. They got on a bus. Somebody said, what's my email? It's the real Michiex at gmail.com. If one of my moderators could put it in there. But they went to go and rescue some people, and they had stories, right? And one of the stories that they told me that I thought was really messed up was a story of some people that they had came to rescue. And when they got there, this is what they told them. So they had been on the roof of a nursing home, and the lady decided to stay and help some of the elderly patients. It was a few of them on the roof and things of that nature. And so the first day, there were some men that came by and was kind of seeing if they was okay. They were on the roof with them. They could not remove the people because of their, I guess, their the elderly people, and they didn't want to leave them alone on the roof. So the lady stayed there with them. But the very next day, some other men came by, and those men didn't come to help. They sexually assaulted those women on the roof and the elderly people as well. And then they got in their boats and they went on their way. See, when I talk to y'all about survival and all of the stuff you should have, I always tell you there are people ready to do crazy shit and harm because there is no police, right? Shout out to you, Mock Nick. Thank you for the $20 holla. I appreciate it. And so there was so much of that. And then you have white people who said that they were protecting their communities from folks who might be trying to do something to them. So they was just out there shooting black people just because they racist. And they've never been arrested for it. They've never been called to the carpet. There is nobody that has checked the balances on them or none of that. They were just shooting black people, saying these folks is up here trying to come in our houses, come in our spaces, right? Then check this. When you do get police, you do get National Guards, and you get folks that should be out there helping these people. These folks haven't eaten in days. So they start going into the supermarkets. They are what they call looting. That's not looting. Everything is flooded. Are you fucking serious? So they're in the stores. They're breaking into stuff. They're grabbing supplies. They're going back to the convention center with them, trying to bring things to help people in the community. So then they put out on the news and they show a bunch of black people. Y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember that? And they said they're looting. So they were out there fucking arresting people that are out there trying to get supplies so that they can survive. I want y'all to think about that shit. They were arresting them. Then they got orders that they could shoot them for looting. So property meant more than people's lives. The police was now shooting black folks for trying to get supplies. So a lot went on in Katrina that nobody has answered to. The government has admitted to this shit. We got the documentary. We got all the receipts. But nobody has paid a price. Your government never pays a price when they do shit to us. So what I want you to understand, when we talk about Katrina, this is not just about Katrina, y'all. Okay? This is about if you find your ass in one of these situations. Okay? And when I say one of these situations, I mean a survival situation, period. There is a lot going on in this country, and I want you to know, other than natural disasters, there are plenty of things that can happen to you that you should probably be preparing yourself so that you can survive them, okay? So let's just go over Katrina, because first of all, Katrina is a place that has a hurricane season. Do you live somewhere that has a hurricane season? Because if you do, or you live somewhere that has natural disasters a certain time of the year, and you know that these things happen, why the fuck aren't you ready? Now, California had some fires. Now, let's be clear though. Even though we have these natural disasters, you do know that the government, that's a whole nother level of this rabbit hole, that they control the weather. Let's just be real, okay? They have programs through NASA and the government where they can control weather. And this is why you see so-called natural disasters, if you want to call them natural, things happening in areas that they've never happened before. Like, we don't get hurricane weather here. We don't get tornadoes touch down here. And then all of a sudden you start to see these crazy weather things that are happening in places that this is not something that really happens here. Well, that is your government too. And somebody's going to say, oh, you're ridiculous. And what I'm going to say to you is be a dumbass. I just tell the truth. I don't give a fuck if people don't believe me or if you don't want to hear it. It's going to be to your own demise. You can actually go look it up. Now, Google is your friend. Google, somebody said the other day, Google tells lies. Okay, they do sometimes. But what I'm telling you is this information I'm giving you is so out there. It is so put in your face that it is very easy to find. That is the point that I'm making. If you look up controlling the weather, they will tell you the department that does it. They will tell you what it's called, like cloud seeding. That's one thing they'll tell you. But they tell you that they do things to the weather. I'm not making this up. They'll tell you that shit to your face. One of the greatest things that you can do to condition people, everything they do to us, it really is in our face. They do it to us, they tell you they're doing it, but then you think it sounds so, somebody said talk about preparation for civil unrest. Oh, we going there, that's in tonight too. But they do it in your face and it be right in front of your face, but it's so sensationalized. People be like, no, this shit can't be real. Oh yes, this shit can be real. So even if you do live in a place that don't have natural disasters, but if you do, you should be ready, right? So California had fires. Now we know this was not the fire season not too long ago. Those fires were actually created. Let's just be real. Let's be honest. When you look at all the places that are burnt there, they plan on building these new technology cities. They have this new fast train that's supposed to be coming through. Those fires did not start, by some homeless man like they want you to believe, or some other bullshit that they try to tell somebody. Those things are not true. It didn't start in a barbecue in the backyard. You can believe that shit if you want to, okay? And so when those fires happened, yes, it was out of season, but California, they have a season of wildfires. They have a season where so much shit is dry that you can expect it should be some fires, yes? So if you live in that community, how the fuck do you live in California and you ain't prepared for this season if you gotta get your ass up and go? I don't understand that, right? So I need y'all to understand that this information, as somebody said in the chat, applies to hurricanes, your government doing some crazy shit, weather, civil unrest, pandemics. When it was a pandemic and you had to take your ass in the house. How many of you went to the grocery store and you thought you were going to buy some groceries because, you had to stay in the house and you got to the store and it wasn't shit on the shelf? How many of you simply might have needed some medical care and you could have been something that wasn't an emergency, but because you don't know how to tend to yourself medically and other than putting a Band-Aid on a boo-boo, right? You run your ass to the emergency room where you go and now you go to the hospital and they telling your ass you got COVID. Or better yet, let's go down the rabbit hole a little deeper. It has been said and it has now come out, and I guess people can talk about it now because people were even saying it back then. I had nurses that were emailing me information back in that time and we was getting in trouble for talking about it. But no matter what you went into the hospital with, if you died, they said it was COVID. And there were people who were going into the hospital and they were literally killing you. People were going in there for treatment and they were giving them the opposite shit that would actually cause them to pass away. Now, some of you might find it very hard to believe that you're going to go into the hospital and that they're going to do. But if you're Black, I know you can go in there with a headache and wake up with your kidney missing. They've always done shit like that to us. So we know better. Or you should know better. If you Black, your ass should know better, okay? And so I want you to know that, best bet was to keep your ass home and not be outside, right? Especially not at the damn hospital. That's the last place you wanted to go. So understand this information applies to all of it, but I want to talk about Katrina because as I watched it, I couldn't help as watching this documentary but to say, damn, if they had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if they knew these things, this could have worked out a whole lot different for some of them people. And that's what I kept seeing. So I want to come and give y'all that information. So first and foremost, I want to say in Katrina, the first thing that I saw is that people got really comfortable in the fact that in New Orleans, they have hurricane season. And so when they heard a hurricane was coming, even though they were told that it was this bad late, now let's be clear, they did not inform them that the hurricane was supposed to be this bad until it was too late. It might have been on purpose, right? Probably was on purpose. But even then, they still knew a hurricane was coming. So I want to say to you, when you understand that natural disasters, civil unrest, or anything could possibly be coming your way, I need you to take them serious. I need you to not be so comfortable to say this is going to be like every other time. Oh, we made it through last time. This storm will be fine. You should at least be prepared at some point to say, I might need to get the fuck up out of Dodge. I might need to do A, B, C, D, F, G. But you should always be ready for those things. So I don't understand how if you live in a hurricane place, how you not prepared for hurricanes and everything that can come with it. Because yeah, they said the levees broke, but you don't think hurricanes flood places without the government blowing levees? That's always a possibility. Okay? So take those things serious. That's the first thing that I want to say, okay? Make sure you're prepared. Don't ever think that because the other ones weren't as bad, you never know what this one will bring. So be prepared to get the fuck up out of Dodge if you have to. So that was the first thing that I saw with people. There were folks in the documentary saying, oh, I called my mom. I told her she needed to go ahead and leave. And, I'm going to kind of ride it out. What you ride it out for? Take your ass on with your mama. What you riding it out for? Okay? So that's the first thing. The next thing is that as people woke up and the water was rising in their homes and they went to the roof. Now, the people's issue on the roofs was that they had no food. I'm sure their clothes dried all the time, but they didn't have no food. They didn't have any water, right? They were just on a roof. They had nothing to be comfortable. They had nothing to build a shelter over them from the sun or the heat or anything of that nature, right? And so the first thing they all should have had was a to-go bag. Now, a to-go bag is something that's going to help you in a whole lot of situations. It's exactly what the hell it sounds like. I can grab this bag and I can go. That bag should have at least, if not more, at least 72 hours, 3 days of food, water, right? Clothing, hygiene, important papers, okay? Medication. And while we're speaking about medication, never throw any of your medication away. Pain medication, antibiotics, I don't give a fuck what it is. If you got some medication, keep all of that shit. Over time, medicine can lose some of its potency, but it never loses it all. And if your ass is in a situation where you have nothing, you will be glad as hell that you have that little less potent medication and have nothing at all, okay? So imagine if they said, oh shit, the water is rising. Let me say this too, because they are in a hurricane place, they should have had a lot of things that were put in waterproof sealed bags or a waterproof book bag so that nothing would get wet inside. There are waterproof matches and things of that nature to make sure that these things are in bags that even though they got wet, everything would have still stayed dry, okay? So imagine those people on the roof if they had grabbed, right, that bag and said, we got to head to the roof. And let's be clear, everybody in the house needs their own bag. That one bag only carries 72 hours worth of shit for one person. So you should have a bag for your kids. You should have a bag for yourself. And everybody's bag should have things that pertain to them, right? And what it is that they're going to need. Meaning if you got a baby, there should be some formula in there. And of course you go through these bags every 6 months, once a year, and you take things out that may not be relevant anymore, put new clothes in there, whatever the hell it is. You got to keep up with this, right? Just like you do any damn thing else in your life that you keep up with, okay? If you care about surviving, then you should care about these things. But I want you to imagine if all of those people, somebody said a waterproof medical bags, I got one. Good. So you know exactly what I mean, right? So had they gone up to the roof and everybody was able to grab their book bags, yes, you might have been sitting on the roof for 3-4 days for somebody came and saved you, but you would have had water. You would have had some hygiene stuff, right, to feel clean if you was in that water before you went up there. You may have had some things in there to keep the kids occupied. You would have had some type of food. You would not have suffered the way that you suffered. I'm sure there are people that they don't talk about that was on that roof, on their house, and they died because nobody got to them in time. You can go 3 days without water. You can go 3 weeks without food, okay? And let me tell you something that will kill you quicker. You go 3 minutes without some air. But let me tell you what will kill you faster than any of those things. Exposure to the wrong weather. So if it was hot as hell, you don't understand how sitting in a baked ass sun with no water, no cover, or nothing can affect an infant, can affect a child or older adult. You don't understand how exposure to extreme weather, cold or hot, can kill your ass. People don't understand that, right? And so they would have had more of what they needed on those roofs because people died on those roofs. Everybody did not get to them in time. So let's be clear about that. The next thing is that People were leaving, sending family members and loved ones somewhere else, and they were saying, I'll be here, I'm gonna stay with the house, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So a lot of people were separated, right? Folks have their separate homes. When all of this is going on, people were trying to get in touch with their family members. Okay. Now I want you to know you can go to the store, and one of the cheapest things you can buy some two-way radios. Okay. And those radios, you can get them up to 20 miles. The ones at Walmart for a couple of dollars. 20 miles is not, that's a distance away. Okay. If your grandma's somewhere, you got some family members in your neighborhood, right? You get those, and that's your communication. Imagine all of the people who were at the dome and wanted to know if their family members made it out their house, if they survived, if they had drowned, or where they was. Do you know how many people mind would have been at ease if they would have had those radios? And they should be in your to-go bag and be ready if it's something to go out, right? They would have had those things prepared, and they could have easily, are you okay? Where are you at in your house? I'm over here on the roof. Or I'm at the convention center too. Where I am too. What side are you on? People were stressed about where their family members were, and you weren't picking up no cell phone and calling nobody. Do you know that even today you have your cell phone? There may come a time where you're not going to pick up that cell phone and call no damn body, because the towers might not be working. And I would say, don't think that it might not be your government blocking them motherfucking towers, okay? You might not always be able to pick up your cell phone and give somebody a call. So these radios allow you to keep in touch with your family members and your loved ones, to know where the fuck everybody is, check in with them and ask them how they're doing. Even when they were going out from the convention center to go and get supplies, if I send my family member out to go and get what they got to get, I want to be able to communicate with them while they're gone until they come back, to make sure everything is okay. Yes. Somebody says, how much does the survival bag weigh each? Well, it just depends on what you put in it, but it could weigh, like, I guess, up to 50 pounds, which is another thing that is a good question that you have asked, because if you have to have a to-go bag where you're not on the roof and you're walking with it, because sometimes you got to leave up out of Dodge and you got to leave with that bag on your back, right? The question is, don't let the first time you've ever went anywhere with that bag on your back be when the emergency comes, because you will be surprised carrying 50 pounds on your back for miles on end, how that might not be something you really used to, right? So at the end of the day, keep that in mind. If you ever have to go, you don't have transportation, and you're trying to get out of Dodge and you're walking and you have children and you have these bags, you should think about that, okay? You should think about that. And somebody brought up the long range walkie talkies. You can get some of those online. They're a little bit more expensive. They're like $400, but you can get a pack of 6, and them motherfuckers is nationwide. So you can have a kid in college, you can have a family member in another state, and y'all can still talk to each other, okay? So the more you spend, you can get ones that go long distance. They have those that all over the United States people can use them. You can call somebody anywhere, right? So they have them that go all distances. It just depends on what you want to spend. But imagine if they were able to call their family members, their loved ones, and know that everybody was okay, or either know where to meet up. So that also plays into survival preparedness, right? You should have a survival plan with your family members. And what that means is that if you're not all in the same house, that survival plan should include, okay, where the fuck do we meet if something happened? What if we're all in different places at the same time? What if we don't live together? What if I'm at work? What if you're at home? What if you're in another state and some shit go on that's a national emergency, right? How do we find each other? Well, you should have already discussed that with your family. You should have a meetup space or place where you're going to go if certain things happen, right? And you should have more than one location, because if the first location for some reason you can't get to it, it's obstructed, there's things going on, there should be a second place, right? So that your family knows where to actually meet you at, okay? So that is one thing too. You should have a plan. And this applies to everything, not just the Katrina thing. I had and speaking of the to-go bags, I want to say shout out, I don't know if she's in the chat. It was one of them moments for me where it made me feel like the stuff that I do is not all in vain. But when the California fires happened, I got an email from a woman, and she was in a hotel. And as soon as she got to the hotel, she decided to email me. And I thought, wow, her life is in this turmoil. She just lost everything she had. Her house burned down in Altadena, right? And the first thing she thinks is to email me. But she did, because she said, I watched you talk about a to-go bag about a month ago, and I want you to know I lost my house. I lost everything, but I had that to-go bag, and I was able to grab it, and we was able to go. And I have the most important things that I need in this moment. And I want to thank you for that information, because until you talked about it, I had not thought about it, and I did not have one. And this is for a woman that lives in California, and fires are something that they get a lot, and she still did not have that. So I just want y'all to see in real life how this really helps people. So create you your to-go bag, right? That would have been easier for the people in Katrina. Another thing that I want to talk about in Katrina is this. I want you guys to not be nice. People don't like that part of it. When there's devastation, people want to show you pictures. They want to say, look at humanity. Oh my God, look at this. They are helping everybody. I need you to not give a fuck when you're in a survival situation. Your responsibility is to you and your family. I want you to know that one of the quickest ways to get killed, not survive, get your supplies taken, get your family taken advantage of, you taken advantage of in all kinds of ways, is to be nice. Being nice will get your ass killed in the wrong survival situation. You have got to remember, every man for themselves. The only person you should be concerned with is yourself if you're solo, and two, your family if you have a family of people. If you take on more people, your supplies will not last as long. If you take on other people to help them, you do not know what mental state they are in. You do not know if they are in a panic state. You can't get them to calm down. You do not know if they will steal all of your stuff. You do not know if they are there to do you harm. You do not want to be in those positions, okay? So when we talk about Katrina, let's just go to the next thing. People were on the roof. Folks did make it down to the dome and then at the convention center. So people at the convention center, they're at the dome. The first thing that y'all should have done for people who were in that situation is get the fuck out of Dodge. You should have left the dome. You should have left the convention center. The last place you should have been is in the crowd with everybody else, okay? And the reason why you don't want to be in the crowd is because you get taken advantage of. Two, you gonna sit in the crowd, and while you sitting there, you gonna watch an old lady in a wheelchair 2 steps from you and they crying, or a lady with a baby and her baby is crying, and you have a baby, but in your bag you have some formula because you packed a to-go bag to go to the convention center with it. Oh, that's supposed to last you 3 days, your baby 3 days, somebody else 3 days in your family. How far you think that go when you sitting around somebody and they want you to share with them? And then I want you to look that lady in her face while her baby is dying and tell her you're not giving that baby any of your baby's formula. Then I want you to withstand the element of, I'll take your shit because the strong survive. I'll take your shit, ma'am. In survival situations like this, the best place to be is away from the crowd. If a person was smart, they would have taken their family, they would have taken themselves, and they would have gotten away from the convention center. There were places in New Orleans that were not flooded. I would have gone to a bridge underpass. I would have gone out into a field somewhere and pitched a tent, put up a tarp. You need to get a tarp and learn how you can make a tarp, be a goddamn covering for you, and pitch that shit up in the trees. Practice it. Find a YouTube channel and learn how to get it done. You should have taken yourself, and they should have went somewhere away from the crowd with their family. Their supplies would have lasted them, and now that they have their family with them, another element they should have had is they should have had a radio, right? Whether it ran on batteries, more preferably those that crank, something that is solar, so that you can hear what's going on. And you should have stayed where you were with your supplies, your family, and what you needed, right? Until you heard that everybody was being moved. Because now once everybody's moved, nobody's blocking the bridge, or none of those things are going on, and you could have then taken your family, gotten up, and walked straight across the bridge, and nobody would have stopped your ass. But you should have waited for the crowds to leave. You should not have been in the crowds or a part of the crowd, right? And so that is something that people should think about too. I know that in survival times, because we are not prepared, the first thing we do is run to the convention center. You run to the dome because you think the government is there. People are going to help us. And this is because you're not prepared. If you were prepared, you only run to those places because you're not prepared. And you're like, there's going to be food there. There's going to be rescue there. There's going to be people helping us there. Well, you better damn sure make sure that they're helping you first by listening to what's going on that radio before you take your ass up over there and get caught up in the bullshit of it all. Okay? There were dead bodies piled up in the bathroom at the convention center. Now, we've all seen public bathrooms. What do you think that public bathroom looked like on top of dead bodies being there? You want to go in the bathroom and take a piss or a shit in there? I don't think so. You want to go in that bathroom and clean up? That's where you're taking your 2-year-old when she got to go pee? Yeah. You'd be better off by yourself away from the crowd. Okay, the next thing is, let's say you had that stuff and then you ran out of supplies and you are off with your family. Another thing that you should do that might seem a bit taxing, right? You like it seemed like a lot. It's not a lot when it's your life. Shout out to you, sweetest princess. Thank you for the $5 holla. Says, is it just me and my daughter? It's just me and my daughter. I'm a single mother. I don't know where I would go. My parents are gone and some family ain't trustworthy. What do I do? And so I would tell you, this is not about being a man or a woman. I will tell you though that when shit hits the fan, as women, we are the most vulnerable if you don't have men around. So what I want to say to you, sweetie princess, is that you need to have all of the things you need to be prepared for yourself, right? But I want you to also to begin to understand and be around maybe like-minded people. This is something that people have asked me to do, and maybe I will do it. We'll start a survival group or something like that. But in the survival events that I've had or the classes that I have taught, people connect with each other in those areas. And so understand that surviving and having a group of people that you survive with, they do not have to be your family. So let's have that lesson for one moment, that I think we all know in life that some of the closest people to you are the people that you care about, or or that are supposed to be family. They're not always family. I have plenty of family I don't fuck with. I don't care nothing about no blood. If you don't treat me right, you get the fuck up out my face, right? And so what I would say is that for those of you that are by yourself, you should find a way to group up with other people who understand these survival things or want to learn them as well, and let those people become a part of your survival plan. They do not have to be immediate family and friends. Sometimes they're the worst motherfucking people to be around, because your cousin might slit your throat to survive before your best friend will. Okay, let's just be honest. And so so keep that in mind. Okay, I will tell you that women and children are going to be the most vulnerable when shit hits the fan. And so we should make sure that we have other people around, right? And you should have some men around, and those men, hopefully they have some knowledge too, because I don't want you to think just because they're a man that they're gonna know what the hell to do, because that's not always true, okay? If they don't have these skills as well. But that's what you need to start thinking about, right? Grouping up with like-minded people and having a plan with those folks, okay? And so I have been talking about doing this. So many people have said this, and so maybe we'll put together, well, I won't say maybe, we'll put together a survival group, and everybody can come in, we'll share survival things, we'll talk about stuff, people, you guys can meet up for those that are in the same areas and things of that nature, right? And so your tribe of people do not have to always be the people that are your family. Shout out to Carbon Q in the house, my Pisces sisters. Hey, I love you, girl. And she understands survival. She over there packing. Tell them, Carbon Q. She know what it is. She a woman by herself, but she gonna make the damn thing, make it do what it do. Shout out to you. And so I want y'all to understand, right, that in these situations, one thing that might seem taxing, but it's something you should do too. Now, in my survival class, I will be, if you're in LA, let me say this, the link is in the description of the video. We will go into more detail than we will here tonight. I will demonstrate some of these products. Hopefully we will have some things to get out. We're still waiting on the word for that, for somebody who's helping us get the funds to give the supplies away. I will demonstrate how some of this stuff is used. I have a big ass packet for y'all that's gonna help y'all put together your bug-in bag, your bug-out bag, all of these different things, because there's such thing as a bug-in bag, because sometimes you're not leaving your house. Sometimes you're staying in the house, right? And that's a whole nother scenario. And so I want you guys to understand the difference in that. What will also be in there too, that you guys can go to ChatGPT and do, you can actually ask ChatGPT to show you in a survival situation, where are all of the facilities for supplies? Okay, so what that means, if you have to go out and scavenge, you have to go find stuff, which the people in Katrina were doing, not looting. They were looking for supplies to save their damn life, right? You should know ahead of time, you guys, where those facilities are. And what I mean by that is you can ask ChatGPT and they'll create a map for you in your specific city. Now, I'm not going to do it for everybody's city. You can do it for yourself, but I definitely give you instructions on how to do it, right? So they will give you a color-coded map that will tell you all the places where food is. So I always ask people this when we go into the survival class, like if you didn't have no food and there was something that kept you from getting food, we didn't have food for a while, it was civil unrest, or there was things going on for whatever reason, natural disaster, whatever, that you didn't have food and you couldn't get to food. First place people are gonna go is to the supermarket. Shout out to you, Samantha. Thank you for the $4.99. First place people are going to go is to the supermarket. And that's the first place everybody thinks of. So I always ask everybody, well, where would you go next? Well, this map will break down for you where all of these things are that you can get clothing, where all of the Salvation Armies are, where there are clothing places at, food places at, when you need to get clean water, all of these different things, right? And so understand that if there's not any food at the grocery store, that's the first place we all think to go. Where else would you go? If all of these places were shut down and you had to go out and scavenge and break into some places, this is survival now, right? Somebody in your team might have to. Maybe you waiting with the kids and somebody else is going out. That's why you need to have that radio to check on them. But where are you going? It'd be interesting to answer that people have. Y'all tell me in the chat, where are you going? Where are you going if you need to get some food? They done already ran through the grocery stores. There's no food on the shelves in the grocery store. Where are you going? Y'all in the chat, tell me where you going. Somebody says survive off the land, leafy greens and berries. That is absolutely a great answer in the sense of this, that is another thing maybe you guys should do, and ChatGPT can help you. But at the end of the day, there is stuff in every area that you actually can eat off the land, certain berries and stuff out of trees. You have to know what is what though, right? To survive, you absolutely can. Somebody said a food pantry. Okay. Dollar General. That's considered a store. Nope, you can't go to, no. Somebody said go into the forest and hunt a deer. LOL. And how many of y'all really know how to motherfucking hunt? And who got a gun to hunt? Y'all tell me. Everybody say the pantries, the vending machines. I have MREs. And MREs is not that bad, y'all. I got some too. They got some new ones and they not that bad. MREs, they be giving you little ketchup and shit. You got bubble gum. You can heat up the pack and shake that shit and heat your food up right in it, and coffee and everything. MREs is not bad, y'all. Everybody keeps saying, thank you. Okay. Everybody keeps saying food pantries. Thank you, Rugrats. Schools, nursing homes. I used to be a cook for a daycare. They feed them kids in there. It's big ass number 10 cans of food all in that mug. When you go to restaurants, yes, schools feed kids every day. They have food in there. Nursing homes do, because they have to feed people, right? So if these things are empty, now don't be going in there kicking in no old folks back. I mean, there might be some people who are going to do that. You don't be the person to do that. But if these places are empty and you find yourself in those situations where shit is shut down, it's not just the grocery store. There are lots of places. Think about where people have food and where folks can go and get this food, right? And so, but in order to do that, ChatGPT will tell everybody for their city. They will color code. You can tell ChatGPT in a survival situation, color code, give me a map of all of the places, and you can tell them where your address is and tell them to give you somewhere within just 10 miles, because you don't want to be, you walking 20 miles to get to where you got to go. What if you walking? I mean, you might be driving, but what if you walking, right? Like, you want to tell them within so many miles. They're going to color code everything for you. Where you can find clothes, where you can find medical supplies. You might need those too. Right, and that's something we won't get in depth about tonight. I do in the class, but when it comes to medical, you need more than just some first aid. Oh, baby, let me put a Band-Aid on your boo-boo. Oh, you got a little burn. What if a motherfucker break their arm or their leg? What you gonna do with that? What you gonna do if somebody has a gash and they're bleeding? And let's say you kind of put pressure on it, but you can't let it keep bleeding or leave it open if it get infected. You ever stitch the motherfucker up? Maybe it's time you learn. They have classes for that. They really do, right? Where you don't have to be a physician. This is talking about survival. Yes, a split. Okay, we got some folks here in a tourniquet. Absolutely. Do you know how to make one? Do you know how to put a tourniquet on? So these are things that you need to learn, because just as well as food is scarce, you can't call the police. Your ass can't call 911 and ask the ambulance to come help you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Whether you're hunkered down in your home or whether you're leaving, people get hurt and you can't always call. All the things you've ever, in survival situations, understand this, everything you always expect the government to do for you, let's say they're no longer doing it. What happens when there's no power? What happens when there's no food in the grocery stores? What happens when there are no police to protect you from crime? What happens when there are no ambulance to call when you need help? You need to be the person who has to deal with all of that. And if you are somebody that has a family, you a man in here or you a woman in here and y'all the head of your household, that is your responsibility. Because when the shit hit the fan, your household gonna be looking at you. So understand that, okay? So again, in Katrina, for somebody who, if you would have ran out of food, let's say you did everything right, you have your family over here pitched up away from the crowd, you're just trying to stick it out, okay? You need to know where to go get these things at so that you know where the supplies are. In your mind, the first thing you may think about is the grocery store, but if you pull out that map that you got in your bag, right? In your bag, and you look at all of the places, you can head straight to where you need to go, whether it's clothes that you need, medical supplies you need, you're going to go straight pharmacies, you're going to go to hospitals or different things like that if these things are all shut down, right? And so you already know where these places are. The worst thing in a survival situation is to be on feet, not in a car. You don't have Google Maps. They're not going to come up and tell you where the fuck this shit is at, right? And have no idea where all of these locations are. You need to have a map for that in the first place, okay? So that was one thing in Katrina. Let me talk about one of the aspects that I think people miss the most in survival is protecting yourself, okay? Your gun and your protection skills are just as important as anything else that you have. Now, in Katrina, there were people taking people's supplies from them and taking water from older people because they were stronger and they didn't want to die. There were people that were taking advantage of folks. There were white folks running around just shooting black people. There was a man, if you listen, somebody said my backyard. Your backyard is good to have food and stuff. Absolutely. You do need to know how to grow your own food. I don't disagree with that. One of the supplies that I have, and I sell it on MX Survival website, you guys, I have a seed vault, right? And it has thousands of seeds in them. They're heirloom seeds. So understand, when you buy seeds, they need to be heirloom or they do not reproduce with seeds in them. They have been modified. Walmart and all these gardening places, look for heirloom seeds. If they do not say heirloom, they are not going to produce with seeds, which means after the first crop, you're not getting any more. You need to buy things that will grow within 4 to 6 weeks, right? So if you have a supply but food runs out, you have some other stuff to eat that will grow up quickly for you, right? And so absolutely that is an option, right? In the situation, Jen. It just depends on what situation. And I do believe that everybody should have the ability to pull a bucket out, a tote or whatever, and grow some damn food in 4 to 6 weeks if you need to feed you and your family. Absolutely, right? So that is a great response as well. But again, let's go back to protection, because you can have food in your backyard. You can have a generator. You can have all the lights on in your house because everybody else's house dark on the block. I would not suggest doing that, because all you do is draw attention to yourself if people hear your generator. Because if I ain't got no power and I hear your generator running, and it should be outside because that's how you die from carbon monoxide poisoning. If I'm stronger and I've been peeping out your house and it's just a woman and some kids live here, I might come steal your generator because I want power. So I'm going to come take yours, right? If I see all your lights on in your house, you got something everybody else don't got, so don't draw no attention to your ass. I don't give a fuck if you got the most powerful generator in the world and you can turn on your power in your house and light the whole goddamn house up for 25 hours. Don't do that shit. You better save that power sparingly for the shit you do need, because all you're doing is drawing attention to yourself, okay? So keep that in mind. Protection is a big thing. You better learn how to fight. You better learn how to use a gun. You better get you some other weapons as well, because one thing that people don't think about, you can have the best gun in the world. You can have 20,000 guns in your house. If you ain't got no ammunition, don't nobody give a fuck. What you gonna do when the ammo run out? Use it as a bat. I hope you swing well, because that's all the fuck it's gonna be. Because without no bullets, what good is your gun? It's not good at all. Okay? So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you have ammunition if you are going to have bullets. You want to understand how to use your gun, and you want to know what you need a big one for when they, as in plural, are running up on your house, and when this person by themselves, singular, is running up on your house, right? So you want different guns for different things, okay? Keep that in mind, because in Katrina, and in every survival situation, you're always going to find what's called mayhem. Like, I'm from Detroit, and I never forget we had a power outage, right? And you've all been in power outages. Shout out to my Detroit people. You might have remembered this power outage, right? Like, the power was out for like 8 days. And as soon as it got dark, all we heard was shooting, niggas in the street being crazy, folks crashing cars, they outside. And with no power at all, no street lights on or nothing, you don't really know what pitch black is like until shit is pitch black. Y'all ever been in pitch black? I'm talking about like no street lights are on, no house lights are on. Like, it's really black. You don't realize how dark it is outside till you go outside if you don't have man-made lights, right? So as soon as dark time would come, all kind of crazy shit would happen, and you could hear it outside. We just stayed our asses in the house and waited for the morning time to come up. But even in an 8-day power outage, First thing criminals did was said, nigga, the police ain't come in. It's dark outside, dark as fuck. We can roll. The first thing they thought is we going to commit crime. There's always an aspect of people that when there are no ambulance, there are no nothing, you're worried about surviving. They don't care about that because they will take your shit. They don't care if they prepared. They don't have a bunion bag, a bug out bag. I don't care. You know, I've been waiting all my life to see what it's like to take a life. I think today might be the day. You know, I really been waiting to assault somebody. So now I'm going to kick in this lady door and assault her. But maybe I have a flavor for children. And I'm going to assault her children instead because that's what I really want. I know that seems real dark and diabolical, but I don't know what world you think you fucking live in. Because there are people who are waiting to take advantage of you because they know the police are not coming. They know ain't nobody coming to save you. So there's an aspect of survival. And even if they not coming to just do harm to you because they just get off on doing harm, do you know how many people will take your shit because they not ready? They just gonna come take it. Yeah, they don't have their supplies. But what they do is they got them weapons. They got that strong arm. They gonna take your shit from you. Okay, so I think that that's very interesting that in Katrina, there were so many people who were being killed, one by the police, but there was an aspect of people running around New Orleans that were shooting people as well. There were some white people, they were in the documentary, and they were saying they had these Confederate flags on their porches, and they was talking about how, oh yeah, these black folks was coming around and we shot a couple of niggas, and like, they're talking about this on video. They never went to jail for it. They just said, oh, they were trying to loot or come in our place, but they used it as a reason. There was a black man on a documentary who said that he lived in a neighborhood that was not flooded and he was trying to go back to his house, and that a couple streets over, he was walking through their street and it's where these white boys lived and they was finna kill him. They made him beg for his life. And he was saying, I'm so glad that they didn't kill me, but this is my thing. If you're in a survival mode, first and foremost, and this is the thing, no, your side of town didn't flood. No, it didn't. But you should know that everybody is on high alert. People do not have power. You know you got white boys who live 2 blocks over that got Confederate flags and got them guns and they racist as hell on their porch. Do you know who territory you in, bruh? So see, you might not be in war. This might not be Afghanistan, but you don't understand that you are walking in the enemy's territory. There are no police. Them white boys with them Confederate flags can do whatever they want to do to you now, and ain't nobody coming to stop them. Why would you walk your black ass? This is what I wanted to ask him when I watched the documentary. I said, I just want to grab this nigga and ask him a question. Why would you walk your black ass down their street? You couldn't go around to get to your house? You knew them boys lived over there. You see them flags waving and you thought it was a good idea to come walking down their street. Now you're over here begging for your life, ain't you? First of all, you should have went another way. And if that's the only way you could have got to your house, then maybe you should move in the cover of night. And you should have gone at a different time of day. But if you don't think about survival like that, if you don't understand that, you're going to find yourself begging for your life as a nigga down the barrel of a white man's gun. They let him go. But there was also a story in there that said, this man said that a police officer shot his brother. He walked up to the police's car to simply ask him about help and what was going on. The police officer pulled out his gun and just shot him and drove off. So his brother picks him up. Somebody else comes along. He throws him in the car. He says, I got to get my brother some help. He says, oh, there's a triage place with some medical help a couple blocks away. Let's go over there. They drive over there. And guess what? There's other police officers over there. They get out the car saying they need help. His brother's bleeding in the car. The police pull their guns out, tell him to freeze and tell him to get out. And they're like, no. We just need some help. No. And then they beat them up, let his brother bleed to death, and then send them on their way. The police. I need y'all to be more prepared. What I didn't hear any stories of black people who were armed and they were ready for all of that. And they was ready to take a life just as quick as their life was ready to be taken. So I want you to not take defense lightly. Your ass, you can have all the food, all of the shit to grow in the world. If you can't defend what you have prepared, then what the fuck did you prepare for? You cannot do one without the other. You need both. So I suggest y'all start taking some self-defense classes and learn how to whoop some ass, because the only weapon you have, being a gun, is not going to be the answer for you unless you have unlimited ammunition. Now, you can't go online for like $2,500. You don't need a license for it. You don't need some type of registration. Now, if you're going to sell ammo, then yes. But if you just want to make ammo for $2,500, see, we talked about groups get together, tax return time, buy y'all the machine, get y'all the casings, get the stuff you need for the gunpowder, and make your own goddamn bullets. And now you can have all kind of bullets. You could be making bullets every day and stacking up and have bullets galore. But if that's not you, I suggest you learn how to use other kind of weapons. There's knives, there's bats, there's all kind of things. A lamp will bust a motherfucker in the mouth. Like, I'm from Detroit, everything is a weapon, okay? Everything is a weapon. But you should learn how to skillfully use other weapons as well, right? It's you'd be surprised how you might need to use it in your life. We live in a very diabolical place and people are crazy as hell. And even if you're not in a survival situation where it's affecting your whole community, you might just have somebody try and break in your house at night and be glad you learned how to whoop some ass, okay? You might be glad you got skilled with that gun. And don't go get you a weapon and don't get trained with it. And that goes for a gun too, okay? Don't just get you a gun and be like, oh, it's cute. You better learn how to shoot that motherfucker. You better get good at your aim. And not only do I want you to get good at your aim standing like this, try shooting that gun laying on the ground. Try shooting that gun and covering yourself around a corner and then coming back around and ducking for cover. Learn how to use your gun in the midst of combat, because just because you have a gun, if you have never shot it, especially if you have never shot it while you're running, while you're ducking for cover, or any of those things, or having it get down on the ground and shoot it, if you think every situation you're going to be in, you're just going to be standing like this and aiming at the target, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? So I need you to get skilled in that. Yes, bear spray is great too. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa in here thinking. So all of that shit matters. Certain weapons calls for certain shit, and maybe you can't beat this big nigga coming through the door. Spray it with some bear spray. Then when he can't see, now you can shoot his ass, stab his ass, beat his ass, whatever you got to do, right? Because all of that shit matters. You should have a lot of things that you can use. So don't just think about a gun when you think about a weapon, but you damn sure better be thinking about protecting yourself, okay? Because defense is absolutely important when it comes to survival. All right, y'all? When I think about these things in Katrina, but even what we look at with the pandemic, even now, you guys, we have a lot of civil unrest going on, and it's on purpose. You got Trump pissing off a lot of people in other countries. And now, you know, that we are dealing with so many things being automated with like AI and things like that, right? All of our water systems, and they're making everything so automated. What before, when they would tell you like enemy can't get into our territory and drop no bombs on nobody in America? Okay, that might still be true, but they don't have to do that anymore. Like with everything being automated, all they got to do is like cyber attack. And there are other countries that are so much better than us at technology, okay? We are not the top at technology, let's be clear. All they got to do is hack or shut down your water supply in a city. Hack everybody's shit at the same time. Have y'all seen the movie Leave the World Behind? Is that what it's called? It's on Netflix, I think. I think that's what it's called. Obama made the movie or something. I want y'all to understand when we talk about priming and the things that they will show us to get you prepared for something. So if you watch that movie and what happened, okay, for those that have seen it, the folks that said, yeah, if not, go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's Leave the World Behind. Am I right? That's the name of it? Something like that. Something behind. So y'all go look it up. Now that movie is showing you what happens based on a cyber attack when things that are run in the manner of electronically AI automated, when all of that shit gets shut down. They don't have to come into our country to touch us anymore. With the advancement of technology, it actually makes America more vulnerable to attacks than we have ever been. So I need y'all to keep that in mind. So a lot of these things can happen. We have all of this turmoil going on. There's a lot of civil unrest. You just never know when certain things will happen. Now, should you prepare for the absolute worst? Absolutely, you should. But I also want you to know there could just be smaller things, like if the National Guard was to really come into your city and declare a state of emergency, right? To where you could not come outside and people had to stay in their house because there was something really horrific going on. I'm not talking about just the thing in Chicago. I'm talking about if that was to happen, because they're getting us familiar with having the National Guard military on our streets and you couldn't go outside. Like, do you have just enough food if you had to be in your house for like a week, 3 days, if they told you couldn't come outside? Like, do you prepare for that? Because the National Guard are not going to come around handing out sandwiches at your house. So you should always have a supply of food that's kind of put to the side in case those things happen. Now, you want to watch the expiration date on those food and things, and you want to use them and then get newer things to replace them with over time. You always want to replace these things, okay, over time based on that. But there are a lot of things that could happen. Like if your water went out, the water system went out, and everything was contaminated. I'm gonna tell y'all some shit you might don't want to hear, but it's the truth. Your water you drink in your sink comes from the shitty water out of the toilet. Y'all want me to say it two more times like Umar Johnson, or one was enough? That water is filtrated. All of that water in the sewer gets filtrated and given back to the people. Okay, this is why I don't drink sink water. Bottled water probably just as bad, but I don't drink. They probably got something in bottled water trying to kill us too. But I don't drink sink water. But they filter that. This is why they. I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever seen them talk about like when people they would tell people don't flush your medication down the toilet because it gets into the water supply. And some things can be filtered out, but some stuff doesn't filter out all the way. This is why if the water plant goes down, they'll tell you don't drink the water. If the power goes out and the power plant is not working to filter it, don't drink the water because you could get sick. They tell you to boil it. Okay? Because it doesn't go through the final filter of filtering it, right? So everybody should have a life straw in your house, okay? A life straw, they have them at Walmart, other places, you can get them online. A life straw will allow you to just get that water out the sink. If you can't turn, let's say you got an electric stove, you can't turn your stove on and boil no water. Okay, well your life straw will allow you to drink that water through that life straw. It will filter that, you will be fine. You're not going to use that life straw on dirty ass water outside that has been sitting and is not moving or flowing, right? You don't want to use it in that manner because it's not going to filter that, okay? That's going to have too much bacteria and nasty stuff in it. There are other ways to filter that stuff. But the life straw, if you in your house and something like that happen, go ahead and drink that water without filtering it. And go ahead and drink that shitty water. You're going to die, okay? You're going to get all kind of infections and you're going to die. That's why they tell you don't drink it. But what would you do if the water wasn't clean? We always expect they're going to turn this shit back on in a day or two. What if the power went out in your city for 30 days? Just 30 days. What's going to happen in 30 days? You don't have no power for 30 days. See, you was fine when it went out for 24 hours or 8 hours. You just kept your freezer and your refrigerator closed tight. What happens now that everything is spoiled in your house? Because this is 30 days. And I want you to think about all the things you couldn't use if the power went out. So fuck the extreme. Let's get away from Katrina now. What if just simply your power went out for 30 days? And there's lots of reasons the power could go out for 30 days, including, number one, that your government gonna act like it's some shit and just see how many people they can kill off. You'd be amazed at what can happen in 30 days with no power. How quickly would your cell phones die? And how fast would you be able to charge them? Where would you charge them? You have no internet now. Everything that works by electricity in your house will not work. Do you have medical machines that you need to be on? I want you to really think about all the things that you need for power. So forget it, Katrina. Just what if your power went out? 30 days. You know how many people would not last 30 days? Ain't that crazy? You lived all your life and with no electricity, your ass would die. Because somebody's going to drink that dirty ass water. Somebody's not going to have their medication like they need. Somebody is not going to have the food that they need. People are not going to be able to communicate like they need to communicate. Every time something happens, people go buy up all the goddamn gas for their generators. You ain't going to have no damn gas left, so you ain't going to be able to charge your car, to charge your phone. And how long is that going to last for you have no gas no more? So again, nobody really thinks about these things because they haven't been put into these situations. But there's a lot of things that can happen that you just need some of these skills, whether it is helping you for 3 days, 5 days, 30 days, or some crazy ass time. You need to know these skills. And for anybody who says, I'll never be in these situations, if you've ever been in a power outage, you've been in these situations. I don't care how long the power has been out. We've all gone through some of these things. I told you there was no power in Detroit for 8 days. The stores were closing it in, letting one person at a time. They were gouging the prices on everything. All the gas was gone. At nighttime, everybody was acting crazy. All of our food was rotting. So we would get together in our apartment building, which is a good thing to always be in a group. As I said, we were outside and we would bring our food in. The men and people were bringing grills and we would just grill our food and give everybody meat and food. And we did that for a couple of days because all the food was going bad. But imagine if that power hadn't come on after them 8 days. Like, it was getting really hard to deal with after about the 5th day. I had just given birth to my baby, and good thing that she drank breast milk. Okay, she's 22 years old now, but it was hard, and that was just power being out. There's so many other things that we could also lose aside from power. So I say this because I feel like our community as Black people, we are the last to be prepared. So we are always the first to be affected. And I just want to change that scenario for some of us, right? For as many people as I can to understand that. And so, okay, it's going on an hour and 10 minutes. I told you I in and out like a robbery. So I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna get out. I do want to say this though, is that I just want y'all to, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want people to be prepared. That's all. These things happen, and if you live your whole life and never find yourself in a situation where you need some of these survival situations, you need to survive, like, I don't know anybody I've ever met who hasn't ever been in a situation, right? Where they need some of these things. There's so much more we could talk about, but I'm not going to do all of that here. Again, you guys, if you are in the LA area, the link to come to the event, I will be in LA September 20 and 21st. The link to that is in the description of the YouTube video. The tickets are donation based, so you can give whatever you can afford. And we will be doing survival one day. It is a 4-hour class. I will show you how to use some of these things that I'm talking about. We will be giving away whatever it is that I have used to some people there. I will give you guys all kind of lists. I will give you stuff so you can make a bug-in bag, a bug-out bag. You will have all of this information, you guys. And then we'll be talking about how to make money online the next day, because AI is coming for everybody's job and your ass is not going to have no motherfucking funds. So you need to know how to do both. Survive with survival and survive and learn how to make some fucking money, right? And no, for anybody interested, I will not be teaching you how to be a content creator. This is the least of what I do. I do make money off this, but this is not what I'm teaching you to do. Everybody cannot do this. The new economy, the new way of making money, the new way things are done, whether it's a side hustle, right? Or you're looking for a new job to work for somebody. You got to understand that everything is online now. You got to learn where to get these skills. Some of them you can get for free. You got to learn how to do these things and how to get your hustle out there so that you know how to do that. And all of that is online now. Everything has changed, the way our economy does stuff. So that is just as important too. So that's what we're going to be doing in LA. Shout out to all the people who have already gotten their tickets to come over there, so y'all can go and check that out. I will put together a survival group. Other people have asked me if I'm coming to their city, and I've said no, only because I tried to do this. I was like, look, I'm going to bring myself to your city. I just need you to get the place for me to do the event. And I asked the people for donations so that I could gather supplies, right? Not for me. I always spend my money and throw events and do stuff for the community. I can't do it no more, because at the end of the day, I'm tired of just carrying everything on my back. I watch all of these people that get supported, that scam y'all, play y'all, all the dumb shit we spend our money on. Why the fuck should one woman have to, do so much and then only to get called a scammer and bullshit any goddamn way, right? So it's like, I feel like if we were to do it together, we could do so much more. But I don't feel like, I tried to go to Brooklyn. I tried to do Chicago. I'm only going to LA because I gave my word, and the young lady there has put a lot into preparing it. And so I'm going to do that. But the reason why I said I wasn't to come in no more cities, because nobody seems to want to go out of their way to find the facilities to help. And if it's all left up to me, I'm not doing it. I'm not. Again, being nice is the first thing to get you fucked up in survival. And at some point, I have to stop and make sure that as long as me and my family is taken care of, fine. I love y'all to death, and I wish I could save all of my people. But at the end of the day, if y'all not going to help me and we can't do this together, that's why I said no. But I'm not going to lie. I'm a sucker for my fucking people. Just like sometimes people suck us for love and suck us for dudes and suck us for... I'm a sucker for my people. So I'm not going to tell you if somebody emailed me and was like, Michi, I'll help you. I'll find the place. I'll do this and I'll do that. Then I'm not saying I won't come, but I really kind of want to say in general, no, I'm not going nowhere else. This is my retirement event. Y'all better come meet me in LA because I ain't going nowhere else. So I just want to say that I tried that. I've never taken up donations to do any events that I've done. I do sell tickets, but even after that, I still be coming out of my pocket $6,000-$7,000 to make events happen. And I'm not doing it no more, right? If we can't do it together, then I'm not doing it. I was a little appalled the first time I asked for donations ever from my community to help us get something done together. Yeah, like y'all told me, fuck you. That's like y'all didn't say it with your lips. That's what the donations said. I refunded donations to niggas. Like really, I'm just getting y'all money back because I'm not even finna play this fucking game with y'all, right? So if y'all don't care about being get this shit done, I can't care more than you care about your own well being. So I don't really know. I don't have a yes or a no answer for if this is my last city. I feel like I want to say this is my last city, but I guess we'll see how it plays out. If you know, I get people who hit me up and they're willing to do the work that you don't put it all on my back, then that's different. But yeah, I can't keep doing this. Not in this way. You know, there are so many people that break their back for the communities as activists and be like, I died broke. I'm not a broke motherfucker, but I'm not gonna go broke helping the community either. I'm not. I'm not, right? And I also know that anybody who invests in something, you're going to take it more serious. People that don't sacrifice for anything, y'all don't take it serious. I'll do free events and I'll come out and I'll do a donation and people will be like, oh, well, you know, I'm tired today. I didn't really buy a ticket. I didn't sacrifice anything to be there. So I'm just going to not go. Because when you don't sacrifice anything, a dollar, an effort, or nothing, it's easy for y'all to just say, fuck it. So, you know, that's just where it is. I love y'all, but yeah. I'll see y'all in LA. I don't know what to tell y'all after that. It might be, you know, y'all gonna have to catch me online. People keep saying I'm a content creator. That's what the fuck I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be on here giving content. I'm gonna make $20,000, $30,000 a month like everybody else on YouTube. How about that? On top of the rest of my income. I'm gonna go buy that charger that I want, and I'm gonna go on nice vacations. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? Because I don't do none of that. I just work and work and work and work, and I'm tired of working. You know, it's like the employee that do everything at the job, and then and don't nobody appreciate them, so now they're ready to quit. That's where I'm at. But I love y'all, but I'm ready to quit. So with that said, y'all, thank you for those that gave in the super chat tonight. I will be back tomorrow. If you don't hear from me tomorrow, I've been busy with some family stuff. You will get a video. I am editing a video now. I don't know if you guys have heard, but TD Jakes has a class action suit. But his daughter, Sarah, her husband, her first husband, her ex-husband, he done came out and said that TD Jakes did something to him too. So that's interesting. But anyway, so if you don't see me tomorrow live, you will get a video from me about a couple of things. And so y'all can look forward to that. But I will be back soon. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like this video before you go. Share this video. The information is very important. Share it with somebody that you want to have this information, you guys, okay? And if anybody is interested in any survival supplies, I do have a survival website. I don't promote it as much as I probably should, but you can go to mxsurvival.com. And we have survival food that is dehydrated. So you just add water to it. You don't need to cook it or do it. Some survival food you got to cook. This food you don't. Everything is just dehydrated and you hydrate it back, right? And it lasts for like 10 years. And so you can go check that out. We have a couple other things. We have a water filter bottle that's a life straw built into it if you guys are looking for some survival supplies. And other than that, I will work on getting that survival group together for everybody so we can at least come together in a group and maybe people can link up with other people. You know what I'm saying? In their communities, if you're by yourself, to start preparing and things like that, right? But with that said, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Y'all stay safe, stay black, and yeah, stay alive, okay? Stay alive. I love y'all. And I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good night.